Interior, day. A man, mid-40s, looks out the window from his kitchen sink, sipping on a cup of coffee. Outside, ash falls from the sky like snow, piling up so much that it creates drifts in the corner of the yard. It's ash from the raging forest fires that have engulfed the man's town and forced his family to evacuate today. Or at least that's what he hopes. The TV in the background plays a news report about the temporary suspension of air quality restrictions in the area to allow local crematories to incinerate bodies at a more rapid pace. Corpses are piling up so quickly from the deadly virus spreading throughout the globe that hospitals and mortuaries can't keep up. To make matters worse, rumors about the virus and its origins are spreading as quickly as the virus itself. Because it's unclear exactly how it's transmitted or what the signs of infections are, everyone is now a potential threat. The news report shows aerial footage of the infected roaming the streets in hordes. Even if the virus has not yet taken their lives, they are the walking dead. Still at the kitchen sink, the man notices his children playing outside. They are making the most of the few remaining moments they have before they make their escape to a remote area of the country thought to be safe from the flames and the deadly disease. He watches as the children scoop the ash into cups and throw an impromptu tea party. Thankfully, he doesn't have to worry too much about them being outside in such poor air quality because they're already wearing surgical masks to avoid contracting the virus. Taking a mental snapshot of his kids engaged in imaginative play as the world burns around them, the man tosses his coffee into the sink and heads for the door. The man, his wife, and their 3 children pile into their battered minivan. They speed through the barren and desolate streets, windshield wipers on to clear the ash, squinting to see through the smoke-filled air. At the last intersection before they can get onto the highway, hordes of protesters descend upon their car, engulfing them in a sea of bodies. Some are wearing gas masks. Others are just screaming at each other, at the heavens, at anyone passing by. Still others carry picket signs decrying the totalitarian state or predicting the coming apocalypse. As the crowd closes in on the car, the man double-checks that the doors are securely unlocked. Even before the light turns green, he senses an opening in the crowd and slams the gas pedal to the floor. He watches in his rearview mirror as the mob recedes into the horizon. Sighing in relief, he looks over at his wife sitting in the passenger seat. They exchange a knowing look with each other, and without speaking a word, they both know that their shared sense of anxiety and dread is not misplaced. This may not be the end of the world, but it's certainly the end of the world as they know it. I call it games kids play in the apocalypse. But it really could be any number of generic post-apocalyptic zombie invasion horror movies. The only problem is, it isn't a screenplay or a treatment at all. It isn't even fictional. It's a description of the actual experience my family had in the fall of 2020, evacuating from our home down the road in Monrovia from the raging wildfires that were the result of an ecological catastrophe in the midst of a biological crisis, otherwise known as the COVID-19 global pandemic, all in the context of a national and international racial reckoning. Remember that little detail in the story where the air quality restrictions were lifted in LA County so that crematoriums could incinerate more bodies because so many were piling up at their doors? I didn't make that up. It really happened. And so did the part about my kids playing tea with the ashes accumulating on the ground outside their house. I remember the moment like it was yesterday. I looked out the window and I remember a conscious thought came to my mind. I sure hope that ash is from the forest fires and not from the crematoriums. Gave a whole new meaning to the phrase from ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But the truth of the matter is, even though it's hard to tell the difference between my story, which is very real, and a fictional story, my family's experience isn't unique or exceptional at all. For many of us, if not most of us, the real world often just is horrific. And that's been especially the case the past few years, which have only amplified that unspeakable sense of fear and anxiety and dread that we all share. And so it's no small wonder that now the new crisis we're facing is a mental health crisis. Which brings us to today. Why have we gathered here at a conference called Fearmakers? What exactly are we doing here? I don't know why you showed up or what you found compelling about the lineup of speakers or the content, but the team of folks who put together this conference and worked to imagine what it is we might be doing really all held a kind of common intuition, a gut instinct. And that is, if we don't crack open even just a little space for us to reckon with all of those fears and those anxieties, they will, one way or another, consume us. So what we're doing here today is attempting to grapple with our fears in a way that's creative rather than destructive, that's life-giving rather than soul-crushing and death-dealing. And if what I just said to you makes you think, that's kind of outside of the box, I want to be perfectly clear. Today isn't about outside of the box anything. Whatever industry you're in, whether you're here as a student, a seminarian, whether you're on faculty, whether you're in the industry, on-screen talent, behind the screen, whatever it is, I'm sure you've probably heard over and over and over this metaphor beat to death. We need to think outside the box, right? It's the answer to all of our problems. If you navigate religious context, you probably hear something similar, but it goes something like, we can't keep God in a box, right? Getting out of the box answers all of the grief and the trauma and the sadness and the chaos and the catastrophe. Problem is, I get that instinct. I don't think it's wrong, but what we're here today is most certainly not to think outside of the box. I'm not smart enough. I'm not creative enough. I don't know about you if you are, but I'm not enough to get outside of the boxes that entrap me. But even if I could, for horror fans, boxes are complicated. Let's start with the Hellraiser box. Anybody familiar with this? Probably the most well-known. Then there's the box from the film Possession, which came out in 2012. For those of you who like deep cuts, let's not forget about the 1997 horror film Cube. It's not even The Cube, it's just Cube, which took place entirely inside a gigantic box. We couldn't think of anything more horrible than be trapped with other humans inside a giant box. And just for fun, I'm going to throw in that cylinder from John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness that had the big green orb that ended up being the embodiment of Satan. Not a box, but you get my point. But in my mind, the single most terrifying, the most haunting, the most horrific box in film history is none other than the one that we find at the end of David Fincher's Seven. Now, it might go without saying, I'm about to play that clip. It might go without saying at a conference called Fearmakers, but everything we discuss and show on the screen today comes with a content warning, okay? We'll remind you multiple times, but it's true here, and it will be true over and over again. Viewer discretion strongly advised.
We got a box. We got a box! Call the bomb squad. I need a bomb squad. We got a box!
Face the van. Hands up. Turn around. Okay, go.
Off you go. Go!
I'm sending the driver out on foot. He's headed north along the road. Have him picked up. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna open it.
When I said I admired you, I meant what I said.
There's blood.
You've made quite a life for yourself, Detective. You should be very proud.
Shut the fuck up, you piece of shit.
California, stay away from here. Stay away from here now. Don't come in here. Whatever you hear, stay away. John Doe has the upper hand. Mills!
Here he comes.
What?
I wish I could have lived like you
Shut
did.
up. What the fuck you talking about?
Do you hear me, Detective? I'm trying to tell you how much I admire you. And your pretty wife.
What?
Tracy.
What'd you fucking say?
It's disturbing how easily a member of the press can purchase information from the men in your precinct. I visited your home this morning. After you'd left. I tried to play husband. I tried to taste the life of a simple man.
Run away!
It didn't work out. So, I took a souvenir. Her pretty head.
Mills!
What the fuck's you talking about?
Give me your gun.
What's going on over there?
Put the gun
I
down.
saw you with the box. What was in the box?
Because I envy your normal life.
Put the gun down, David.
It seems that envy is my sin.
No, what's in the box?
Not till you give me the
What's in
gun.
the fucking box?
Give me the gun.
He just told you.
You lie! You're a fucking liar! Shut up!
That's what he wants. He wants you to shoot him.
No! No! You tell me that's not true. That's not true.
Become vengeance, David.
Ah, she's all right. You tell me.
Become wrath.
Tell me she's all right!
You murder a suspect, David.
No!
Just throw it all away, you know.
No!
She begged for her life, Detective.
Shut up!
She begged for her life.
Shut up.
And for the life of the baby inside of her.
Shut up!
He didn't know.
Give me the gun, David. David, if you kill him, he will win.
Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh!
It's a few years old. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I want you to forget for a moment. We can argue about this over lunch, whether Seven technically is horror or not, or if it's a suspense thriller or a crime drama. I'm going to say it's pretty horrific. I'm going to put it in the horror genre. Bracket that for a second. Here's the question I want us to ask today. What's in the box? More specifically, what's in your box? In some ways, today is a massive double dog dare. We're daring each other to take a look inside that box and not look away. Today, we begin with the catastrophic and we go down from there. That box, that one that's filled with unspeakable horrors and traumas and fears that we go to great lengths to avoid or deny, that is just our starting point. Which is why my invitation to you today is not to think outside of the box, but to open it up and to dive in. And as we do, I'd like you to consider this. What if filmmakers and creatives and storytellers were the only ones we could actually trust to lead us over the edge of the abyss and into that unknown world of darkness and terror living inside of that box? What if rather than avoiding or denying or eliminating the fears and anxieties that keep us up at night, we instead turn to the best horror fiction in order to help us metabolize those fears, to digest them as food for new life? consuming whatever's in that box is a pretty haunting image, at least from where I'm standing. But given the world we've been handed, I can't think of any better way forward. Which pretty much leaves me with only one thing to say before we kick things off today. Cheers.
And I find it kind of funny, find it kind of sad. Dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. Find it hard to tell you, find it hard to date. When people run in circles, it's a very, very bad